As we are, Stoomboy, the Combat Companion. So, Combat Companion, as always, brought to you by Hard Life Fightwear. So, Hard Life Fightwear, one of the top fight apparel brands in the business. Obviously, head over to their website, details across the bottom. Got some amazing stuff. Obviously, they've got the ranked rash guards on sale at the moment. They've got the country rash guard and short sets and various other things, both gi and no gi. So, if you are going on, use the discount code you'll see there at the bottom, Stoom15, and you will get a little discount off your checkout price. So my next guest then, we're going to be chatting with Neil Johnson of Fight Connect. Now, Fight Connect is something that obviously I seen a few days ago, and obviously me and Neil have been going back and forward, having a chat via Instagram messaging, and obviously I had a look at it. Now, one of the things, as everybody knows, are one of the biggest issues in this game for promoters and even fighters alike is getting fights, um, getting fights, finding fighters, and keeping fights together. And what Fight Connect is doing is obviously bringing a platform where gym fighters, gym coaches, and gym managers, or even management companies of fighters,
Yeah.
as well as promoters, can come together in the one place and hopefully make matchmaking a more easier and efficient
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
So we're going to hear all about it from Neil. So we're going to share some screens as well, so give everybody an idea of what they're looking at ahead of the introduction or the
Well,
head the
yeah, yeah.
release on the 9th of September. So Neil, listen, absolute pleasure, brother. Thanks for taking the time to speak to me today.
Oh, thanks for having us. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how's everything with you then? So again, me and you spoke obviously just before we came on,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
tell us your background then. Obviously, your combat sports background, Neil.
So combat sports background. What I will say is before I even started, it was through school. The reason I got into it was just a little bit of self-defense. I was picked on a little bit like growing up in like school and stuff like that. And then I started lifting weights, which did help with my confidence, but not in the same way that like mixed martial arts did.
Yeah.
I'd done a little bit of karate like as a kid, like when I was like 9 or 10, but it wasn't until like going through like the full MMA. It was full MMA what I started. Like I didn't have a background in boxing, didn't have a background in like BJJ or anything like that. It was
Yeah.
just straight into it, straight into MMA. And like even when I first started, I was going like 5 times a week. I just loved it. Just got that passion for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Passion and love.
It's always brilliant to me. I'd say anybody that does start, and I'd say they put so much time and so much effort into it.
Yeah,
I'd say 5 times a week. Some, do you know what I mean, some kids are maybe 6, 7, as
yeah,
many
yeah.
times as possible. So, and
Sometimes
it's a
like
brilliant
morning
thing.
or night. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's a brilliant thing. I mean, you mentioned there about confidence and all that kind of stuff. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean? And it does a lot. I mean, it teaches. I mean, we always talk about trying to get it in the schools, and do you know what I mean? Whether it be like
Absolutely.
jujitsu or
Yeah, yeah.
MMA and stuff like that, because of the
I mean,
benefit.
it's more important than fucking geography. I
Yeah.
mean, let's be
Oh, no,
straight. It,
100%.
Self-defense. I mean, in this day and age, like if you go to Newcastle and stuff like that, I mean, or even Sunderland, like there's fights happening all the time.
Yeah.
So just having that ability to be able to know how to handle yourself in certain situations. Say if like someone comes or like for your friends or whatever, just being able to understand how to like deal with certain situations. And
Yeah.
it's also like I'm glad you mentioned confidence as well, because it's a lot of people that don't know how to fight, the egotistical ones. It's false confidence. So
Yeah.
they're the idiots that start fights. It's always the people who know what they're doing, who like uh, just know how to handle themselves really, for
Yeah.
like people that don't.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of benefits. I mean, obviously the
Yeah,
confidence thing, and do you know what I mean? There's the respect aspect as well.
yeah,
Do you know what
yeah,
I mean?
and the
So
discipline of it. Yeah,
yeah, the discipline, and as I say, that's something in a lot of cases. And I'm not picking on the youth of today, because it was the same when I was a kid as well. It's probably the same when my dad was a kid. But the youth of whatever generation was always a big problem with like respect or
yeah,
discipline and all that kind of stuff. Whereas coming into an MMA gym or a combat sports gym, do you know what I mean? Regardless of what you do, whether it be karate, whether it be Muay Thai, MMA as a whole, boxing, um, because these are some of the most respectful people. Don't get me wrong, there's some that do go to it that ego gets to them, and
yeah,
it then takes that confidence into arrogance and so on and so on. But that's
yeah. It
few
can't
and
happen.
far between.
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
Yeah. So, but it's an amazing thing for kids to get into. So, what about you then? So obviously you got into it. So, where did it take you? Where did it take you so far?
So I had my first amateur fight in about 2019. I was still an apprentice at the time, so it was before I'm a personal trainer as well.
Yeah,
We spoke about that before, but before I'd started any of that, I was an apprentice, and then I had my first amateur fight, won that first round, um, and then not long after that, it was like a month or two later, COVID happened, so then I was locked down. I just started my personal training course, but
yeah,
then obviously with the lockdown happened, like I was just stuck. So I'd left my job to start the personal training course, and then I was just stuck for months. Like I wasn't earning anything. Do you know what
yeah,
it is? I was like every day I was doing loads of shadow boxing and stuff, and just like I had this little 8 kilogram kettlebell that just kept us going every day. And yeah, started my personal training course. I had to wait for the gyms to reopen to do me practical. And then when everything did open up, my mum had lung cancer at the time, so she was classed as high risk. So I know a lot of people are like skeptical of COVID, and I am as well, to be honest. Like I don't think the lockdown should have happened at all. I think there was a lot of lies that they told about that. But regardless, I didn't want to affect anything, so I stayed away from going back to MMA for a little bit.
yeah,
So I just focused on like building a PT brand and stuff up them there. Started going to Ace MMA, met Shaj and everyone there. Absolute great team. It's the best gym I've ever been to. Best environment. Like for a gym, like a lot of gyms I've been to, whether it's a weightlifting gym or a combat sports gym, when you go in like for the first time, I mean, for the same anyway. When you go somewhere for the first time, you do feel a little bit out of place. It wasn't the case at Ace. Like from the very first time I went, it was like a family. Like I was just like felt part of the community instantly.
yeah,
So I'm really grateful I went there. And yeah, I mean, from there, I was training for a while. Had my second amateur fight, um, and then yeah, started building. As after that fight, I started working on personal training a little bit more. And then it was at that time where I had the idea to do this because just from those two amateur fights, it was the first one actually. The first amateur fight I had. It was one of the guys there. It was called Kieran Gorman. He was showing us like all the list of like fighters that I could be matched with, and it was just a Facebook message with everyone's record. I was like, don't really know. Like, it just didn't look professional to me.
yeah,
Obviously, like it's just the way it is, and I accepted that. And then it was during that time when I was building my brand before my third fight that my brother, he's a software developer.
yeah,
So he was never really into MMA. He'd watched it a few times with me.
yeah,
But he was more like just doing his computer thing. He's like a contractor, so he's worked for like a DWP, Bank of England, like quite high up people.
yeah.
I don't really understand all the code and like all that
Listen,
stuff.
you and me both, mate. You and me both. That's why we do. That's why we fight because
Yeah, yeah,
we don't know much else. So
yeah. But yeah, he came into my room one day and he was like, "Oh, how to fight us actually get matched and stuff." I was just explaining that. He was like, "Could there not be a Tinder for fighting?" And I was like, "Hmm." Because the ball started rolling from there, so we just worked together, thinking of different ways and stuff we could actually do it. So I mean, this has been like 2 years in the making now, pretty much. Um, I mean, from when we first had the idea of just thinking of how it could work, thinking of how it should work,
yeah,
thinking of how it should look, thinking of how it will look,
yeah.
and we finally got to the finished product.
Yeah, yeah, and it looks awesome. I mean, it looks awesome.
I appreciate that.
And I mean, the thing you touched on there, the Facebook message from a promoter to a
Yeah, yeah,
gym
yeah,
coach, and do you know what I mean that's obviously in the days of social media. Once social media started, and a lot of promoters started using social media properly, then that was always how they contacted. Before it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like,
And I mean, it makes sense. You ask who's
yeah,
available. Like, if
yeah,
there's nothing like this, which is why we've done it,
yeah,
then your only option is to contact gyms individually, saying, "Oh, who have you got available?" Get a
yeah,
complete list. But then that list, like, say if you get that complete list, in 2 weeks from now, one of those fighters might be injured. So then you have
yeah,
to go back, say, "Oh, I've got a 70-kilo guy available. Have you got anyone?"
yeah,
"Oh, that
yeah,
record's a bit high. This guy's pretty new. Have you got anyone else?" So then they have
yeah,
to go to all the other gyms instead of having one place where you can see all the active fighters and everyone's records.
yeah, yeah,
And then it's literally like you don't even have to contact the gyms or anything. Even if a gym doesn't submit their fighter, See if they'll get a text notification when the event's uploaded that map. But say like a lot of people, they'll get notifications, they'll forget about it, they'll read it, but then I'll reply later, and then
yeah,
just ends up at the bottom of the notifications.
yeah,
Whereas if someone hasn't submitted their fighter, a promoter can still request a match for them. So they have that complete list of that UK map, all the active fighters on there. Every time a fighter's added, it's automatically set as active, as if unless like they get injured or something, or if they're on holiday for or whatever reason it is. If they're inactive at that time, they'll not show.
yeah,
So that's just the gym will just say they're inactive at that moment of time.
yeah,
But I mean, they'll have that full list of active fighters. Click fighter A, click fighter B, sends the request out, accept or decline. It's as simple as that, and that's what I want to do and make it as simple as it should be, like Tinder.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, the biggest when it comes to promotions, fighting promotions, the biggest headache. Do you know what I mean? And every promoter will tell you this. I mean, obviously, I don't know about you, but we see posts all the time about, oh, this person let me down or that person let me down, and we need this, and it could be like the day before. Do you know what I mean? So that's the biggest headache for a promoter is the matchmaking and then keeping the matches together, because they can match it up 6, 7, 8 weeks in advance, but by the time it gets to the actual fight card, most of their matches are completely different. And it's not just your regional shows; it's your bigger shows. I mean, you look at UFC happens all the time, Cage Warriors, PFL happens all the time. So it's always the biggest headache. So as I say, a platform like this, when I looked over it, I thought, wow, nobody's done this. Nobody's done this at all.
No.
So I know that there's Facebook pages and there's Instagram pages which keep databases of fighters. But all it is again, it's similar to the Facebook Messenger, where they've got a list of fighters. Here's the list of fighters. Here's their availability. Do you know what I mean? Who do you want? And it's promoters messaging gyms of coaches that they know. So you tend to see a lot of the time it's the same fighters all the time on
So it's
specific
harder
shows.
for up and coming gyms. Like, say if a fighter sets up his own gym, he has a good few people on the line. But if he doesn't have the contacts with these promoters, like it's hard for those fighters to get noticed and get out there. That's what I want to do this for. Like up and coming fighters, local shows, local gyms. We'll really want to focus on like the grassroots, like the actual like root of the MMA itself. And we're going to be starting a media page as well. So we want to get more attention to those guys, like the up and coming guys, the debuts, because everyone's got good stories to tell. Everyone's got unique experiences and stuff. And it is good to just hear people out.
I love the stories.
That's what I want to focus on.
Yeah, I love the story. That's why I do this, because I love talking to people and hearing about the stories. Do you know what I mean? And some of the stories you hear, some of them are absolutely hilarious. Some are emotional to listen to. So there's been times where, do you know what I mean? I've been in hysterics laughing, but there's other times obviously having tears in your eyes just listening to these people's stories. So everybody's got a unique story of how they got into the game, which was something I love. I love hearing about the fighters. So and I love seeing it as well. I love seeing people from the very beginning and seeing them progress all the way to the top. Because don't get me wrong, right? The UFC is brilliant. These are guys at the top of the game, right? But they were once a 0-0 amateur.
One of those amateurs, 100%.
Yeah. So I love it. I love it. Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the website then. So so obviously this is the website as it stands at the moment. I know you mentioned there's going to be some changes from the website when it does go live. So obviously, as you see, talk us through it. Talk us through it, Neil.
So this has been finished in the last. I think we've finished the full thing about 2-3 months ago. We wanted to have a good period of testing, so we're testing it for a good couple of months, testing all the different different things you can do. So like when you receive a match request, do you get the text? Do you get the email notifications? Every single function of the site we've tested, like to the point of like every single button does the exact thing you want it to. Every single gym that you view has the option to have fighters. We've got Tapology links and stuff for the fighters. We've got title fights if you want to set a match. I mean, we've tested it thoroughly. But the reason we've kept the matchmaker and the explore page blocked, So right now you can just sign up and then start adding your fighters and start adding your events. We've got that video a little bit further down, which will show like everything that we're doing. Like there's some more information about us. But yeah, I mean, since it's brand new, we wanted to have like a good month. So I started contacting gyms and promotions probably around the 31st of August. And then we were going to release it on the 1st of September. But then we still had we just finished the messaging service.
Yeah.
So right now we're still testing that a little bit. So we're going to be releasing it on the 9th. And yeah, the reason we've kept that blocked is just so we can get a good user base, so that when we do launch, there's a good amount of fighters, there's a good amount of upcoming events, and it'll work perfectly from the start.
Yeah. And it looks, the thing as well, it looks, from obviously looking at it here, this is before obviously we go and log in, register and all that kind of stuff, but it looks very, very straightforward. I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing difficult. There's nothing, it doesn't look like, yourself, some websites you go to where it's like, it can be an absolute nightmare trying to get through it. But this looks very, very straightforward. Obviously, they've got a login, they've got a registration. Obviously, the button there, join now. So, which is kind of self-explanatory, as you said. The video, which we'll obviously show the video.
That'll show how it'll look like the matchmaker and adding your fighters and stuff like that.
Yeah, and at the bottom as well, telling you obviously for gyms, for the fighters, and again for the promoters as well. So again, giving you a kind of an explanation of how it's going to be beneficial for them or what they can actually do and stuff like that. So it was, as I said, easy enough for even a fighter, like us. It was very, very easy for us to be able to navigate.
That's what we wanted to do. Like we wanted to make it look easy, look very straightforward, but still look good.
Yeah.
So like the color in it and everything, like all the pictures and stuff. We were thinking of changing the picture on the home screen there, but we'll keep it like that for now. We're thinking of like a live video, so like you can see different, like just like highlight reels, just have it like appear in there where those two guys, the guy and the woman there. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it looks and like how it works and everything. I'm really proud of how it's all come. Proud of me, brother. Like it's honestly class.
Yeah. I'd say it is definitely good. Actually, when I looked through it the other day, and obviously I watched the video first, and then went in. But what we'll do is we'll bring up the video, and then let's have a look. You just tell me if you can hear the sound on it or not.
Welcome to Fight Connect, a free platform connecting the combat sports world. Explore gyms and upcoming events on our interactive map. For gyms, add your active fighters. Submit fighters to upcoming events. Get notified when new events are posted or your fighter is requested for a match. For promotions, request matches using our state-of-the-art matchmaker.
So just go back.
Check out our ever-growing directory of events. Promotions, request matches using our state.
I just pause it there. So there, like I say, say if I'm a promoter, I've just put the new event out. Say I don't know, Neil Fighting Championships. So then all the gyms that are on here, unless they change their settings, so you actually have to change your settings to not have the SMS. We're going to filter settings by region as well. So the more like events and stuff that we'll have on here, if we've got if there's a gym up in Scotland, they won't necessarily want to get notified when there's an event in Cornwall, for example.
Yeah.
But for now, as it's building up, you just get a text every time an event's posted, which is good as well, because then you can just flick through and you've got different options there. But here itself, so this select fighter A, select fighter B, that's just on the active fighters bit there. So that's all the active fighters that are on here.
Yeah.
So obviously at the top, you can filter it by weight class, you can filter by gender, whether it's professional or amateur, and obviously by region. And there, if you see submitted fighters there, when you put the event out, it notifies all the gyms. Like I said before, if they forget about it, you don't actually have to match with the submitted guys. That's just to let the promoter know that this guy, he's going to fight on this show if you get him a match. Whereas if you send the match request to people who haven't been submitted, they might not. It's just you've got guaranteed fighters there.
Yeah. Let me ask as well, because obviously, again, if it goes out to, let's say it goes out to, within that specific region, it goes out to 10 gyms, for example.
Right.
So I take it the fights it'll be on a first come, first serve basis. So I'm presuming. So let's say, for instance, out the 10 gyms, gyms want to submit their fighter forward for a matchup. Let's say you've already got there's already an opponent sitting waiting there, and all they're doing is they're looking for one person. So I take it, would it come on a first come first serve basis, or would it send the information to the promoter for them to be able to look at the fighters directly?
Yeah. So when you submit the fighter, like if you click that submitted fighters tab there, it'll just show who's been what fighters have been put forward for it. So then you'll see the records and stuff. So if you click from there, then it'll bring you back to the when it comes to select fighter B, you can just go back to the active fighters and see who hasn't been submitted. If say if a heavyweight's been submitted, but there's no other heavyweights that have been submitted, it'll just bring the whole list. So the whole list of active fighters, there's going to be some heavyweights on there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you just match on there. So yeah, I know what you mean. It will be like on a first come first serve basis, but it'll be first come first serve to whoever the promoter wants to match.
Yeah.
So all that's down to the promoter. So they'll have that list of submitted fighters, but they'll still have the list of active fighters. So they don't even need to use the submitted fighters list. It's just there so they know that this person definitely wants to be on the show.
Yeah.
But if they just send a match request to just a few of the active fighters, obviously you can filter by region. So if it's a Northeast show, you click Northeast on the region, it's just going to show the Northeast fighters. So then it's more likely to get accepted. And then
makes sense as well.
Gyms, they just accept, and that's it.
I like the region thing. I do like the region thing, and the reason for the region thing is, another kind of not pet hate, but another headache for promoters if they're having to bring someone from, especially Scotland, if they're having to bring someone from London or So you've got traveling costs, you've got hotel fees, and all that kind of stuff potentially. So I know it doesn't really happen much in the amateurs. Depending on obviously the amateur and so on. But having it set by region as well, whereas if they've got 10 fighters in that region, they can say, right, okay, these 10 fighters are there, 5 of them have submitted to say, look, we want to do it. So then it kind of saves money for the promoter as well, so they don't have to pay additional fees over and above that they need to. So
that's it. Again, they don't have to use that region filter. So if they can even click say fighter A, you click Northeast, and then you click fighter B. You can even change that to say if you can't find anyone in the Northeast that's willing to fight this guy, you can just click it in Northwest, or even just all regions, and then you just find someone from there.
Awesome. That's brilliant. I like that.
There's one thing as well that's not on here that we have added. It's added now and it works well. We've tested it fully, but a catch weight range. So, for example, there you've got Francis Duggley, he's a strawweight who's up against a strawweight.
Yeah.
If we've got a catch weight range. So if him as a strawweight, he might accept a fight as a flyweight, or he might even accept a fight as a catch weight fight. So if that fighter has a catch weight setting added, then it might be he might accept fights from 50 kg to 55 kg. So that when you click Francis on fighter A, it's going to show everyone who's going to be available for that. So it's not just going to be strawweights; it's going to be everyone who fits into that range.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because if people might accept short notice fights, like a featherweight might accept a short notice lightweight fight because he doesn't have to cut weight. So that's why we've added that. And obviously, there's quite a lot of catch weight fights that happen.
Oh yeah, on every promotion, every fight card, there's always a catch weight fight. So from local shows, and then
there's nothing really like that as well. So right now, a promoter has to ask, "Oh, we've got this guy looking for a 73 kilo. Is this fighter willing to do that?"
Yeah.
Whereas even when they say what people they're looking to match, it doesn't show what range they're willing to fight at.
Yeah.
Which it will on here.
Yeah. That's a good thing. I mean, as I say, that'll take away definitely a lot of hassle for a promoter. Yeah, because as I said, I remember I did an MMA fight last year, and it was a case of I remember the promoter saying, right, okay, and it was going to be my first one. I was 46-year-old. Do you know what I mean? And I was one of the guys where I was like, do you know what? I'll fight anybody. I didn't really care who it was. I said, look, whoever you give me. And then I remember the promoter messaging me or phoned me up and said, okay, I've got this guy. He's 23-year-old. That was the big issue that the promoter thought was going to be an issue. He said, look, he's 23-year-old. Can I give me a rundown on him? He said, what's your thoughts? And I said, well, I told you I'd fight anybody, so 23-year-old makes no difference to me. He's like, I kind of knew that anyway, Stoom, so I'd already accepted the fight on your behalf. So, so that was easy. That was an easy one to deal with. But do you know what I mean? I've been part of going back and forth, and I mean it can go on for fucking days. It can go on for do you know what I mean, a week. And if you're trying to match it within a few days, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, wait, I need to go and speak to my coach. I need to go and speak to this person. Do you know what I mean? I need to check my weight. I need to do this. I need to do that. So, whereas obviously something like this, it'd just be a case of, well, look, I'm ready. Let's do it. And then less hassle for the promoters, definitely. So, less hassle for the fighters as well, because it allows them just to concentrate on their training, their weight cutting, anything else that they need to do. So,
there is a messaging. There will be a messaging service on there, like I've just mentioned. We're just having a little bit more testing through it, which is why we've put the release to the 9th. So what will happen with that? Whenever an event's created, all the people who are on the event, like say for all the matches that are made on here, all those gyms will be added to a group chat, like straight away. So then you've got that group chat for the event. So any event details that the gyms might need to know will be on there. But also like you'll be able to message all the gyms that you want to. So if you on here, which is like on the bit you've paused the video on, that's what a promoter sees. So when they create a match request, they go on their dashboard and go onto your requests. It'll see all their outgoing match requests. And then if you click on to expand, I think it's going to do it on the video in a little bit, but it'll show who's accepted.
Matchmaker.
Yeah. So it'll say pending. So Reece Jones, obviously it'll show his record and stuff like that, which you'll see on the matchmaker anyway, but it'll show who's accepted and who's declined.
Yeah.
Well, if someone declines, it'll just get rid of the request, obviously, but it'll show who hasn't requested yet, hasn't accepted yet. So then that promoter can message that gym and say, "What's the crack?"
Yeah. So you're obviously seeing here.
Yeah, and obviously, like you can withdraw the request. See if they're taking ages, and you just want to get Reece Jones, someone else. Promoter can just withdraw the request if there's too much back and forth. But hopefully, it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, you've got it there.
Check out our ever-growing.
And then this part here, you mentioned about the regions as well. So
directory of event services.
So what added this was a little value add. It was actually Ray from Almighty that mentioned it when we were first developing this. So it was about a year ago actually. It was still under development, and I spoke to Ray because my second fight was on Almighty. Yeah. So I just messaged him and said, "Oh, I'm working on this. It would be good to get your feedback on it." And he said it would be a good idea to have like a directory for events. So, for an event, if they have a new show in a different location, say it's a southern-based promoter, but he wants to have a show in Scotland, he can come on here and see different services that you would need. So if on the video, when it goes on all, it'll say like security, ring girl agencies. There's a few that we'll want to add. So it'll show you the ones.
Growing directory of event services. So
yeah, I mean, all those I got from Google listings, and I actually had a look at different shows and stuff, and I wrote down what people were using. The reason all those results are at the bottom, I just need to get in contact with some people. We just finished what we could for just off Google, because obviously we'd need to ask permission and stuff for the rest of them to be able to be shown on here.
Yeah, so you're talking about things. So, because obviously you've got the ring hire there, cage
Yeah,
hire,
yeah.
your security and so on. Obviously the venues. Venues is a big thing as well. I mean, anybody that's ever tried to get a fucking venue for an MMA event, if it's not an established MMA event, then it can be difficult at times.
Yeah, yeah.
Film crews, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of film crews across the UK. A lot of
Yeah,
great
probably a
film
lot
crews.
more than what I've got on there.
Yeah. Photographers as well, ring
Yeah.
girl agencies, and then obviously like your judges, referees, commissioners, and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So these are
That's to
things.
be added in the future.
Yeah, yeah. So cupmen as well, cupmen, hand wrappers, commentators. So and then obviously your runners at the bottom I see there as well.
Yeah.
So again, it's like a one-stop shop almost
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
for fight promoters or fighters or coaches and all that kind of stuff. So, which, as I said, it's never happened before, not to this detail, not to this
Right.
extent, which do you know what I mean, is going to make it a lot easier for everybody involved. So,
Yeah. We're
So
gonna be
this is
adding one of these.
so
Sorry. I'll keep going, stopping over it. We're going to be adding a directory like this for fighters itself. So
yeah,
for a fighter can look for nutritionists, look for personal trainers like me.
yeah,
I'll be adding myself. Yeah. But yeah, personal trainers, sports massagists. We're thinking even like sports psychologists and stuff because that I think that's a
very important. Yeah, very
yeah,
important.
like there's not a lot of them, but it's such an importance. Like I would say that the mental health of a fighter, like the psychology going into it, is
Yeah,
probably like just as important as like the nutrition and just as important as the S&C. But it's a lot like no one really talks about it much. And if you like the last couple of fight camps that I had with Shaj were spent like a little bit of time visualizing the fight,
yeah,
visualizing what could go wrong, what could like just 5 minutes lying down, close your eyes, and then just he'd talk to you. Or like, I want you to visualize you going into the fight. I want you to feel all the emotions and stuff walking into the ring, and it is powerful. Like visualization and stuff, it is powerful.
yeah, yeah,
But even like your emotional state before going in. So like there's breathing techniques you can do. There's one that I quite like, Wim Hof. He's got a breathing technique, and it just calms you down and like makes you focus on the moment and stuff. So even for just training, like not even for fighting, for just training,
yeah.
being able to control your breathing, control your emotional state and stuff going into the fight, it's powerful. But yeah, we want to add sports psychologists onto the fighters directly as well.
Psychologists are definitely important. I spoke to 6'4", 265-pound heavyweight yesterday,
Right.
Rob Cunningham. Trains. He's one of the training partners for like Tom Aspinall, Phil
Yeah, I watched a little
DeVries,
bit of that actually. Yeah.
Mick Parkin, and so on. So
Yeah.
he regularly trains with these guys for their fights and also for his own fights. And he was talking about the mental aspect for him, and he said he used to go in very, very nervous. And I've been thinking, mate, you're 6'4",
Yeah.
265 pounds. In a lot of rooms, you're the biggest guy in the room. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of people would think that, looking and saying, well, look at the size of him. He's going to come out.
Yeah.
He's not going to have any issues. But he said the mental aspect really, really got to him until he got himself a sports psychologist. And he said once that happened, then things started changing in his head. He then realised, well, I deserve to be here, and it showed in his competition and his fights as he went forward. So
it's reframing your thoughts and stuff as well, like your perception of why you're doing it, why you're getting in. Really focus on what your motivation is. A lot of people, I think, motivation itself. And I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but motivation itself, I think people like confuse it. I think like it's having a motivation. I think there's a difference between feeling motivated and having a motivation. For me, like having a motivation, that's the baseline reason of why you're doing what you're doing. So for me, like when I started MMA, my motivation was I want to learn self-defense. I want to be able to handle myself in tough situations. I want to be able to protect my friends, my family. So that was my motivation. But feeling motivated, like it goes up and down. I think people confuse, like people say, oh, you shouldn't have motivation. I disagree with that. I think you should have a motivation which gives you motivation. Does that make sense? Or am I just
No, that's 100%. I know exactly where you're coming from. So, so I do know exactly where you're coming from. But it's awesome. I mean, I'm just looking at obviously these services here and things that are offered. And you talk about nutrition and sports psychology, personal training, strength and conditioning training. Do you know what I mean? All the different trainings. Because again, it's not a case of, as you know, just going in and turning up for a fight. There's a whole training camp before that. So, and again, people don't understand how much time that a fighter's got to put in, because they only see that 3 3-minute rounds or 3 5-minute rounds, 5 5-minute rounds or whatever. So
you don't see all the sparring, you don't see all the drilling, you don't see all the nervousness.
What about things as well? I mean, this is just a thing I'm kind of throwing at you here, but things like sponsorships and stuff like that, would that be something that potentially you can put onto the page, or would that be something that would be separate?
Absolutely. We are going to be doing that, but it's going to be on a separate site. We don't want to clog this with too much stuff. Like I say, what I liked when you said earlier, it's very simple, it's straightforward. If we just start adding loads and loads of things onto this, like it'll just be all over the place, and we want to keep it simple. But sponsorships, we're going to make a separate thing for that. So we're going to be getting in contact with local businesses and stuff for the shows that we've got on here. And all the amateur fighters will say, oh, we've got all these fighters and events using our platform. If you want to sponsor any of these people, then use this site. But we're going to make a separate platform for that. Probably call it Sponsor Connect. This is Fight Connect, so we'll call it Sponsor Connect. But that's definitely something we're going to be doing in the future.
This is where obviously you've went into one of the, which is a security, so it's giving you an example of a few security companies there that you're able to go in and view as well. So from that previous screen. So
I might change the writing on here. It says results for security and all. This is just security that covers all regions, not just. It's not all the security companies. It's what covers all regions. So that's why we've added that region thing. So you can see who covers Northeast, who covers this, there, and wherever.
Definitely. And then I think that was
pretty much it.
And then obviously you're creating an account here, so obviously you've got email address, passwords, and so just the usual if you were signing up for something else. So again, very, very self-explanatory platform.
Organization name, organization type. So if you're a gym or promotion, if you both say you create an account as a promotion, but you also own a gym, like Andrew Fisher, he has TFT and he has Rise and Conquer. So for people like that, it's very simple. You just create your account on one of them, and then when you log in, there's a bit like called accounts at the top. If you just click there, it'll say own another gym or promotion, and you just add it. So you don't have to log out, log back in every time you want to use the different site. The login is still the same. It's still the same email and password. You just have the access to both.
Yeah, definitely. And that's it in regards to the video. I mean, it's a brilliant platform. So
I appreciate that.
And it's definitely something that is needed. I mean, we talk about when as time went on, years ago, it used to be they would phone the coaches or phone the gyms. Then obviously social media came along, and then now this is just a progression in the game. And you guys, you guys are obviously been the first one to do it that I've seen. I haven't seen a website that's set up. So you guys will be ahead of the game, and then you'll be already thinking of the next step. What's the next thing that we can do? And
we've got quite a lot of ideas.
So, whereas obviously anybody else that gets into it says, okay, shit, I need to set up a website. Like once the website's set up, then I need to start thinking. But you guys are already miles ahead of the game. So, which is absolutely brilliant. What's your goal? What's your vision for this then? So, is this obviously just UK based? Where would you like to see it going, Neil?
We want to get it perfect in the UK first. We do definitely want to get it out there like internationally, because for local shows and stuff as well, it's like local up and coming fighters, up and coming gyms. That's what we want to focus on. But if it works here, it'll work anyway. But before we think about going to America, which will be the next place, probably Ireland first. Get it fully functional, like UK and Ireland, British Isles, before. And then if it works perfectly here, it'll work perfectly everywhere. So then we'll target like America, English speaking countries. I'm half Spanish myself, so I could probably I've been learning bits of Spanish off my mum. So by the time it gets like that big, I mean, it'll probably grow by itself anyway. But I mean, I'm more than happy to contact gyms and promotions myself, like throughout the entirety of this.
Yeah. It was definitely something I'll push out there. As I remember
appreciate that.
Putting a few posts up already, and obviously people will see this video. We'll do some kind of snips, reels, and so on, where people will see certain parts of the video. So, and then as I speak to a lot of gyms and a lot of fighters, and the big thing that fighters talk about is they can never get a fight, even though there's so many fight promotions out there now compared to what there was pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, there was, don't get me wrong, there was quite a few, but there wasn't as many as you see now. So,
I think, like I say, like I think a lot of people through COVID definitely lost like a lot of business and lost a lot of money. I think it's quite horrible. Like that, I don't know what your thoughts on the whole like lockdown and COVID and stuff were, but I follow quite a lot of conspiracy theories. I'm not really happy with how it all went. But,
listen, I'm well in the MMA and jiu-jitsu community, so there's obviously you've got the people who were for it, the people who were against it. So I see the arguments even now. I mean, it's been 4 years now, and I still see the arguments on a daily basis on my Facebook feed. So I don't get involved.
Very divisive, like very controversial.
Yeah. I don't get involved. I stay out of
the arguments for both.
Yeah. I stay out of it. Do you know what I mean? So I stick to I stick to the fact. While there was a lockdown, nobody trained at all. We all stayed at home, every single person. There was no secret fight clubs at all. So we stuck to the rules, and that was that. So, but nah. Do you know what? They were talking about the other day, monkeypox. Is it monkeypox? And they were talking about potential lockdown for that because 2 people had died in Sweden. And you're like, fuck. So the whole world they were talking about the the International Health Federation or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
We're talking about a lockdown for that. And you're like, fuck off, man. So, but I don't think so. I mean, now, well, we're seeing it now. Obviously, a change in government are now seeing the financial black hole in this country, which has came from COVID, which obviously was kind of hidden. So financially, I don't know, the country is maybe a bit crippled at the moment, and it's going to take a long time for us to get back to any kind of normality. So, I can see arguments for both sides, but I'm not a politician. I'm not. I'm not. So there's obviously people who are supposed to be in charge doing a better job than. I'd say that if they put us in charge, Neil, right?
Oh yeah, I think we could handle it a lot better.
Country would be in so much better state. Do you know what I mean? Such a better state. But Neil, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
It's been
and just saying, obviously getting an insight. So 9th of September is going to be the official rollout then, Yes. Anybody you want to shout out to? Any kind of friends, family members, teammates, anything like that?
My brother for one, like he's been absolute legend, like building this, like with the code and everything like that. My mum, she's helped quite a lot, and just support and stuff. My dad, he died earlier this year. He was a big proponent of this. He was like, just give her lots of tips on like mental. Just keeping everything together, visualizing like your goals and stuff like that. I wouldn't be where I am without my dad. So yeah, definitely shout out to him. Everyone at Ace, Shad, Jordan, Sham, all the fighters, everyone there. All my friends and family. You know who you are.
Yeah, awesome.
And everyone watching this, I appreciate you tuning in.
Yes, definitely. But it's going to be brilliant. So, guys, 9th of September, as I keep an eye, I'll be putting posts up all the time about Fight Connect because, as I said, for me, I'm very, very passionate about this sport and I'm very passionate to see the sport progress. Obviously, whether it be, whichever sport, MMA or whatever combat sports, but MMA in general, jiu-jitsu. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy because I don't like getting punched in the face much, Neil. So that's why I'm still so handsome at 47-year-old. So, I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about fighters getting fights and being able to progress their careers. Do you know what I mean? I've seen so many amateurs that have come through and they fell away because they couldn't get fights. Do you know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
now going away and they're working in shops or doing whatever they're doing. So,
Glad to see people losing their passions.
yeah, and it's very easy to lose your passion, or lose your motivation in this game. Do you know what I mean? So, especially if you're an active fighter, like pre-COVID, was a perfect example. I mean, pre-COVID, there was a lot of very, very good active fighters. COVID came along, obviously put it back a couple of years, but a lot of these fighters didn't come back. They didn't come back, so we lost a lot of fighters. Do you know what I mean? Through just not coming back, or do you know what I mean? Unfortunately, some passed away because they weren't able to, mental health issues and so on. So we did lose a lot of great people over the last few years. But it's something like this is going to make a whole load of difference. Do you know what I mean? To a lot of people, and things like this. I mean, things like this. I mean, I know this is cringy to say, but things like this can be a lifesaver for a lot of people, because especially fighters, a lot of fighters may be a bit shy, or I don't know, a bit shy and a bit embarrassed to approach a promoter. Do you know what I mean? So they wouldn't necessarily do it. Don't get me wrong, a majority of people are going to be, do you know what I mean? They're very, very vocal, and they'll come out and they'll be like, oh, I want to fight on such and such a time. So whereas we talked about the psychology, they might think, oh, I'm not ready for this, or how do I do it? How do I get involved? How do I contact? Whereas obviously a platform like this, I'd say in a lot of cases, do you know what I mean? I'd say, I know it sounds cringy, but it could be a lifesaver for not just a fighter, but a promotion as well. Do you know what I mean? This could be the difference between a promotion making money and losing money. So
if you can see like who the best fighters and stuff are, you can get the entertaining fights. And also with the platform itself and with the sponsor thing that we're looking to make, it'll bring in a lot more money there as well, because then we'll have like this whole thing of, we'll just go to local businesses and local for say if there's an event happening in Lincoln. We can go to all the local businesses in Lincoln. I'm happy enough to just get a full list of businesses and just call each one after the other. I don't mind doing that, and then try and get them the sponsorship deals. So that's probably, we're going to be doing the messaging service. We're going to be adding into clubs into this, because at the minute it is just events, and then we're going to add coach and fighter profiles. So fighters can like add their videos and stuff, add like pictures, so they can stand out more to promoters, so they can get better fights. And then from there, we'll probably look at adding the interclubs, and also the fighter directory for getting like the nutritionists and stuff like that. There's a lot of there's a lot more ideas that we'll have as well that we're looking to implement. But that's all I'll say for now until we get a little bit more ready.
Fighters as well, just one bit of advice, right? When you're putting your picture up, make sure you choose a good picture, right? So we've seen some dodgy pictures that have been put up by fighters. Don't get me wrong, they're hilarious, and I know why they do it. It's just for comedy value. But yeah, if you want to stand out, have a good picture. Do you know what I mean? Have a really, really good fight picture. So if you've done a few fights,
well, that makes you look intimidating.
Yeah, one that makes you look intimidating. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got a guy in Scotland that is a jiu-jitsu guy, and we call him the King of the Cats, right? Because he's don't get me wrong, he's one of the kind of best guys in Scotland. Jack Brown trains out of MNBJJ, but he I think he went abroad. He went traveling a bit with him and his wife, and everywhere they went, it seemed to be pictures of him with cats, right? So they would always like adopt a cat in that country for a couple of weeks before they moved to another country. So when so he then obviously people started calling, "Oh, you're the king of cats." So then every fight promotion or every grappling promotion where he was doing a sub only, it was a picture of him and the cat. Do you know what I mean? It was just so things like that. Yeah, things like that. So. As I said, it's very, very good comedy, but Jack's absolutely awesome. Do you know what I mean? Not just awesome because he's a funny guy, right? But he's awesome because he's an amazing grappler as well. So, but yeah, things like that. So make sure that choose a good picture. Make sure you look scary. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not too scary. You don't want to scare everybody off, right? But choose your picture.
You don't want people not wanting to fight you.
Yes. So guys, keep an eye out. So website is going to be www.fightconnect.com. Okay. You can also head over to Instagram page, which is Fight Connect Official. Yeah. Saying you're going to be doing the Facebook page as well. So,
and the YouTube channel.
Yeah. So, but head over to the Instagram. Definitely head over to Instagram. I'd say a couple of posts on there, the video, and obviously the coming soon. But as everything's released, you're going to see a lot more kind of.
I'm going to add a couple of posts next week. Sorry, a couple of posts next week. I'm going to do a post about all the upcoming gyms that are going to be on there that I've already signed up, and then all the upcoming, probably upcoming promotions because there's a fair amount of events. I'm still thinking of whether I want to do a post about all the upcoming events or all the the promotions that are on there. I mean, we could definitely do both, I suppose.
Yeah. Just looking at your followers, some of the followers that are on there just now. So you've got obviously a few people I know. You've got gyms on there. You've got a photographer on there as well. So you've got quite a few of the fighters as well. So yeah, people are coming on board. Tell us as well, price wise, is there a price for fighters or for coaches or even promoters to be adding anything on?
Nah, not for now. It's completely free for the matchmaking service. Yeah. What we're looking to do, like monetary wise, once we get a good user base, advertisement. So I'll have like a few banners and stuff of supplement companies or glove companies, things like that. Also, we're going to be starting a media page, so potentially doing ticket sales on there. We wanted to, before we're thinking about making money from this, we want to bring the value first, get people using it. But we'll not charge for the matchmaking service or just to be on there. We'll want to keep that free. But then everything that follows will come from, like I say, advertisement, ticket sales. We've got a fair few other ideas. For example, the sponsorships. We could take a little, like a 5% commission or something like that. But we're going to think about that later on. But yeah, I mean, we'll go from there. We'll see how it all turns out first.
Yeah, so guys, keep an eye out. 9th of September. Obviously, the page will go fully live with obviously a few changes as well, which we're going to see. Make sure you hit up Fight Connect because it's going to make things a lot easier for you guys. So, but listen, Neil, absolute pleasure. But I can't wait to see what happens on the 9th of September. I mean, you'll catch up back and forward. So as time goes on, even if there's like maybe changes or anything like that, we'll catch up. We'll talk about.
I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll keep you updated with it.
And then, as I said, I'll make sure that as many people in Scotland anyway hit up the page, and not just Scotland, but across the UK and even Ireland as well. Obviously, I've got a few contacts in Ireland, so obviously, when you do decide to hit over there, there's a few promotions over there that I can hook you up with as well as gyms and people. So yeah, anything you need from me, Neil, listen, just let me know, and I'll be glad to help you out, buddy. All right.
I appreciate it. That's class. Thank you.
But listen, thank you again, brother. And you enjoy the rest of your day, all right?
You too.
Take care, pal.
Right.